The dark matrix. It is a narcissistic stream of consciousness which does three things to humanity. Number one, it deceives humanity into forgetting its divinity by splitting the human psyche through deception and trauma. Number two, it mines humanity's energy. Number three, it destroys humanity. The dark matrix, or the matrix, or the narcissistic matrix, or the narcissistic dark matrix, is an energetic grid of control created by narcissists all over the world. It is a spiritual network of control formed by these demonic entities we call narcissists all over the world. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that every narcissist in the world has a group of people under their control, or shall we call it a hypnotic spell? And so, together, these narcissists actually form a control matrix, a narcissistic dark matrix. So, basically, everywhere in the world where there is one or a group of narcissists, we are looking at a branch of the dark matrix, an energetic branch. You know, like a satellite office or a franchise. And all of them, all over the world, they deceive people into forgetting their divinity, then mine them of their energy, and then destroy them. If you were to look at this energy mining matrix from a psychological surface level perspective, you would simply see the narcissistic energy vampires. And if you were to look at it from a spiritual perspective, you would see demonic beings working in and as these narcissistic energy vampires. Every narcissist is an energy farmer for the dark matrix. To them, people are no different from cows, sheep, and chicken. To them, human beings are not human beings, but rather an annoyingly talkative food source. The dark matrix was created by narcissists for narcissists. And as much as at a corporate as well as an occult level, people do meet and discuss how to progress this agenda. To the most part, though, it just works naturally and automatically because all narcissists have one mind, the mind of Satan, the demonic stream of consciousness. And it is a hive mind. So they don't really need to know each other or to have conversations because at a spiritual level, they are doing the same thing and are fulfilling the same mission. How does the dark matrix work? Well, to understand how the dark matrix works, we first need to understand that the dark matrix, narcissist, and the devil are the same thing manifesting in three different forms. Therefore, if you understand how one operates, then you automatically understand how the other two work too. For example, they need the following in order to operate effectively. 1. Misinformation, lies, deception, false flags, untruths, half truths, illusions, smokes and mirrors, and omissions. Number 2. They need the leverage or advantage of numbers, flying monkeys, yes men, conformists, loyalists, unquestioning followers. And number 3, they need the demonic war tactics such as divide and conquer, infiltration, covert attacks, backstabbing, and sabotage. All the wars in the world are caused by narcissists using people's differences against them and then feeding off of their energy as they fight or abuse each other. Narcissists will cause you to fight people for having a different skin tone, being a different race, having a different religion or culture or gender, and even diet. And whilst you're busy fighting, you are too preoccupied to realize that the real enemy is the one who benefits from your fighting. And of course, narcissists don't mind destroying their own lives as long as they can destroy yours too. And so they will often engage in these battles themselves because pain makes them feel alive. Remember this: everything that a normal human being loves, the narcissist hates. And everything that a normal human being hates, the narcissist loves. This is why they are anti human, aka anti Christ, because the divine human spirit is the Christ. But of course, narcissists don't want you to know. Now, before we go even deeper into how the dark matrix works, let's establish some basic understandings. Number one, the dark matrix has a hierarchy with the devil on top, and underneath him, there are corporations as well as institutions hiding demonic entities and human beings, also known as archons or Anunnaki or Nephilim, etc. etc. And at the bottom of the pyramid of this demonic matrix are your everyday narcissist, the foot soldiers of the matrix. Number two, all these three levels of the dark matrix structure think and behave the same, and together they form the dark matrix. They are all narcissists operating a false reality that mines human beings for energy. Number three, narcissists are the human or physical manifestation of the dark matrix and its demons. They are all the same thing. How these demonic entities became human is that they hijacked the incarnation process by lowering the vibrational frequency of the planet as well as that of human beings. Now, let's look at how narcissists deceive you into forgetting your divinity. Well, they have to keep you trapped in your mind and out of touch with the present moment. They basically have to keep you out of touch with reality. They have to keep you trapped in pain, in trauma, in fear, and in confusion. They also have to keep you too busy, too preoccupied to be present with yourself. They have to keep you focused on them, too focused on them that you are not able to focus on yourself or to realize who you are. And to do that, they have to establish distortions in your perception of your reality. There are basically 7 distortions which need to take place with regards to your perception of reality. So, the first one is the distortion with regards to your perception about who you are. They will basically convince you that you are insignificant, just a number in the matrix, a random occurrence of events. Whereas in truth, you are the divine human spirit. You come from God. You are in Him and He is in you. You have never been separated from Him. You can never be separated from Him because it is His very spirit that permeates your body. It is His very spirit that permeates your consciousness. It is His consciousness that you are seeing and experiencing life through. So you are a divine being. You have never been anything less than that. You've always been divine. And it is so important that you know this because you are way more than just a number. You are way more than just a random occurrence of events. You are so important that there are so many things that have happened in the world. Massive, major cosmic things have happened on earth and in the universe in general, just for your sake. That's just how important you are. You are divine. You've got the life of God in you. Number two, they'll distort your perception about who God is. They will convince you that you were created by aliens, archons, architects, Anunnakis, ancient astronauts. And of course, all of these are the many disguises of the fallen angels. And if you don't buy into it, then they will try and convince you that you are God yourself. They will try and appeal to your ego to make you believe that you do not need a higher power because you can be that higher power all by yourself. And of course, if that doesn't work, they will try and confine you to a religious box. And what that means is that you will be limited to seeing God in a particular limited perspective. And usually that has to do with God being depicted as this angry white bearded man in the sky with a pitchfork and ready to destroy anything that comes in his path. And of course, that very same God is expecting you to be his soldier as well, in that you are expected to obliterate anyone that does not see him the same way that you do. You will basically be calling people names, be attacking them, and be just trying to destroy them for merely not seeing God the way that you do. Number three, they distort your perception about who they are because they are false beings. They are demonic entities and beings of darkness, so they cannot afford to be found out. Once again, this is why this channel is shadow banned. Exposure to a narcissist is equal to annihilation. It is literally what happens when you switch on the light in a dark room. The darkness disappears. And so they will try to convince you that they are normal human beings, even though they always want to be worshipped by everyone around them. And if you catch on to them and see them for the narcissists that they are, then they will take the victim stance and claim that it is an illness and it's not their fault. And then when you catch on to the fact that they are actually demons and fallen angels, they will start introducing a false version of humanity's creation's story. They will start making materialistic science a religion and rewriting history by inserting alien gods in it. They do this so that instead of casting demons and declaring God's judgment on fallen angels, we instead find ourselves getting even more lost in the maze of lies. As far as I'm concerned, aliens are a creation of scientists who want to hide the fact that there are fallen angels among us. I have dug very deep into the matter, and for a few years, I had actually bought into this myth that aliens exist. I believed in the existence of aliens until it became very clear to me that there is no such thing. This is a false flag. And interestingly, as well, there is a story that comes from a former employee of a very big, prominent organization whose name I will not mention here, who says that one of the most prominent leaders of that organization confessed to her on his deathbed to say that this whole alien saga is actually a false flag. I really agree with her take in that regard. Whilst I believe that there are other beings from other dimensions who may from time to time interact with human beings, however, Right now, what we are dealing with when it comes to mainstream media, this version of extraterrestrial beings that are being presented to us by mainstream media, I believe that those are more so demonic entities than extraterrestrial beings or beings from other dimensions. So I really believe that them being from another dimension is really them coming from the lower astral plane. I also believe that fallen angels can orchestrate fake alien encounters because, after all, they still do have those supernatural abilities. Also, remember, we used to have very advanced technology, which was very organic and very high in vibrational frequency, meaning its very nature is disruptive to demonic entities. And so that technology is being hidden from the rest of the world right now by these fallen angels of the dark matrix. And of course, they are reverse engineering it so that it is conducive to these demonic entities as well as the fallen angels themselves. And it is actually the kind of technology that we are using right now. It's the reverse version of the true organic technology that we originally had. So the alien agenda is really an agenda to hide the fact that we have fallen angels and demons among us. And those fallen angels as well as demons are incarnated as human beings. All right. And these are the narcissists who are forming the narcissistic dark matrix. And of course, many of them hold very prominent positions within society. But don't be deceived. Even the narcissist down the road is part of that whole WhatsApp group. And the narcissist down the road who seems to be suffering and in pain and all of that is still enjoying themselves just as much as the one that is holding a prominent position in society because they're still achieving the same goal, which is to cause chaos, to cause sorrow, to cause misery. And they are wallowing in that misery. They enjoy it because remember, it's the kind of stuff that makes them feel alive, it empowers them. Number three, they distort your perception about space and time. Now, in the same way that a narcissist will tell you that a pink wall is actually green, there are some organizations here in the world that have literally rewritten history, the history of humanity, and they have also recreated the whole entire universe for humanity. I personally wouldn't trust certain prominent organizations that have proven themselves time and time again that they are not worthy of my trust. I hope you are catching on to how this narcissistic dark matrix works because, on an individual level, you have these narcissistic individuals in your life that are trying to tell you that something that happened last week didn't happen, or that something that didn't happen last week actually happened. You also simultaneously have prominent organizations that are doing exactly the same thing. Do you see? All of that creates a web around your psyche where your vibrational frequency is lowered and your perception of reality is altered. Number five, they distort your perception about energy. Narcissists don't want you to know the importance of energy. They don't want you to know that energy is spirit. And they certainly don't want you to know that energy is consciousness. Basically, energy, electricity, consciousness, spirit, light, those five things are all the same thing. Narcissists don't want you to know that because imagine if the whole world knew what I just explained now. For real, for real. What would happen? And what they also don't want you to know is that whilst what they are doing is energy farming, they really can't take your energy from a technical, spiritual perspective. So they're not stealing your energy, but what they are doing is dimming down your light. Because remember what happens when your light is shining bright? It dissolves them. It makes life very difficult for them. It makes it impossible for them to exist. So they need to dim down your light so that the world can become dark, so that they can then thrive because that's their territory. And they don't care that when your light is dimmed down, that means your energy is not flowing as well as it ought to be flowing in your body. And that means you are getting destroyed. They don't care because as long as your light is dim or non existent, that means they get to thrive. Oh, and of course, they wouldn't want you to know that you are actually energy manifesting in physical form. Everything is energy. The highest form of currency in the world, even more important than money, is energy. I really hope you are catching what I'm dropping here because there's so much that I could say about this whole topic of energy. But for today, I'll just leave it here. Number 6, they distort your perception about the physical form. They don't want you to know that the physical form is actually a living, breathing, walking, talking form of intelligence. They don't want you to know that the physical form is actually a physical manifestation of the universe. And of course, they wouldn't want you to know that the physical form is actually more spiritual than physical. And that there is so much more to the physical form than meets the eye. The physical form is the house of the elements. It is a container, a temple for divinity, for divine consciousness, the divine human spirit, the Christ essence. The physical form is an organic computer that houses and responds to this divine intelligence that God is. And number 7, they distort your perception about nature. Yes, it's all a simulation, but at the same time, it's also real. And nature is our companion in this divine journey through the cosmos. We have never been and will never be separated from nature. We are one with all of life, and what we do to the world around us, we do to ourselves because everything out here is only a reflection of us. It is an external reflection of us. And so when it comes to that whole thing of thinking that we can destroy nature and that it will not come back to haunt us in any way, we are deceiving ourselves only because it doesn't matter whether we believe it or not. It doesn't matter whether we agree or not. That's what literally happens. And this is why it's so important to constantly be praying for forgiveness, for help, because to the most part, many of us are engaging in this destruction of nature without our consent because of the nature of the narcissistic dark matrix. Because make no mistake, the narcissistic dark matrix will always set you up to cause harm to yourself and others. And so we pray and envision a world where we are able to relate with nature at a much more harmonious level. But the earth is alive. The earth is not just a rock, and neither are the trees and the minerals and everything else in the planet. We are all coexisting, and everything has its own divine intelligence. Narcissists know this, but they don't want you to know. These 7 distortions are meant to lower your vibrational frequency in such a way that your light becomes so dimmed that you begin to operate and behave in such a way that benefits the narcissistic dark matrix. You begin to self destruct and you begin to serve the dark agenda of the dark matrix. And of course, your destruction is their elevation. So, as long as your light is dimmed down and inverted, you are basically giving life to the dark matrix and you are feeding it with your own essence. 7 things can destroy the narcissistic dark matrix. So, it will destroy an individual's narcissistic dark matrix, and on a collective level, it can destroy the entire narcissistic dark matrix if the collective are doing these things as well. Number 1, presence practice. So, this is where we practice being in the here and now, because that's how we get in touch with reality. So, when we are in touch with reality, that means we are collapsing the simulation. The best people to follow in this regard here on YouTube are Eckhart Tolle with The Power of Now. And then we've got Reverend Michael Beckwith with The Way of Meditation Services. And then we've got Batel Skater. She does great YouTube videos that speaks to how to get out of the simulation and also how to deal with the toxic narcissists in our lives. Number 2, healing and integration. So, healing is that work of removing those distorted perceptions from our psyche, those false versions of reality, those societal and upbringing conditions that have set themselves up as programs in our own minds, subconscious programs that control the way we see life and the way we do life. We remove those things, and the best way to remove those kind of distortions is to allow yourself to actually be present in the moment, to allow yourself to experience exactly what it is that you are experiencing at that particular point in time, called the present moment. And then the work of integration is when you allow yourself to receive these downloads from the present moment. Because understand this, the present moment is not just a moment in time, it is actually the timelessness of time. It is the presence of God. All right, so you are actually stepping into reality, and God is reality. So when you step into reality, you are tapping into the present moment and you are tapping into the presence of God. And what happens when you tap into the presence of God? Of course, the first thing is that it's going to hurt, because those high vibrational frequencies will be something that you are not used to. And the body, with its distorted programs, and the mind as well, they will be resisting that present moment. So at first, you're going to have to be present with that discomfort that you will be going through. But in good time, what happens is that there is so much space within your psyche and within your body, because now you would have removed that stuck energy caused by those distortions. And so now that space that will now be in your body and in your psyche will be the presence of God. And that space is actually that light of God. And that's where that information, that higher vibrational frequency information comes in. That's when you then begin to receive these downloads from the divine, where you begin to see reality for what it is. You begin to see yourself for who you really are. You know, one of the things that happened to me is that when I allowed myself to tap into the present moment and allowed myself to be present with the discomfort and to allow that negative energy to be released out of my body, is that I began to understand the Bible more than I did before. A lot of things that previously did not make sense to me started to make sense. You get a whole lot of light bulb moments when you tap into the present moment, the presence of God, your own presence, your own divine presence. And what I also want to make clear with regards to healing and integration, healing and integration is still something that somewhat happens within the simulation, but it is actually a doorway to exiting the dark matrix. So when you tap into the presence of God, you are outside of the matrix. You become that consciousness. You become that awareness, that presence, the presence of the divine, the Christ presence. And then that one has no pain. That one has no ego or egoic identity that they are subjected to. That one is beyond that. You understand? So that one is not subject to those programs of the matrix. It's literally as if you are taking off the garment that you were putting on that has to do with you operating within a false construct. So you basically just step out of it. You step out of emotions. You step out of thoughts. You just become conscious awareness. Number 3, psychic protection. Psychic protection is so important because at the end of the day, as much as you are consciousness, you are still inhabiting the body and you are still somewhat operating in a physical construct in the simulation. And so they often say there is no firewall for the mind. So that means, of course, there are constantly thought forms, demonic thought forms, and lower vibrational frequency things that are trying to insert themselves into your psyche so as to lower your vibrational frequency and to catch the attention of your consciousness. And so when you practice psychic protection, this is really for the physical form. This is for the aspect of you that is still interacting with this particular reality for as long as you are still interacting with it. You understand? So until you are literally living in a physical 5D reality or whatever, whether it's physical or ethereal, but until you are actually existing in that particular reality for real, then you continue to practice psychic protection, because as long as you are still going out here into the world and you are still encountering narcissistic individuals and the dark matrix, you do need to have that psychic protection. So psychic protection can be something that has to do with you praying. For example, you will have those prayers such as, the Lord is my shepherd, Psalm 91, or you would do whatever it is that they do in your particular religion or spiritual practice to protect yourself. There is smudging, there is cleansing, there is a whole lot of things that people do to protect themselves. As long as these are tools of the light, as long as these are high vibrational frequency tools, you understand. And of course, there are also those decrees as well and affirmations that you can do as psychic protection. There's a lot that you can do, but you have to practice psychic protection because you are not just going to be love and lights and namaste to everything, because everything is not love and lights and namaste out here in the world, in the dark narcissistic matrix. Let me not forget this very important point. You need to cast demons. I cannot emphasize this enough. You need to cast demons, because if there are demons in this world, then you definitely need to cast them. You need to send them to the pit of hell where they belong. And if there are fallen angels in this world, you need to declare God's judgment on them. You need to do that as a representative of Christ in this world. You have to declare God's judgment on them so that these demonic and dark and malevolent entities can get what's coming to them. They need to no longer be doing what they are doing to humanity. You understand? So there needs to be some kind of divine justice where these entities are concerned. We can't just say, oh no, we'll just leave them to God and whatever happens is whatever happens. No, God has already given us that authority to trample upon serpents and scorpions. You understand? So we have that divine authority. It is our responsibility to do that. It is our spiritual mandate to do that. Number 4, boundaries. Very important. Boundaries with regards to your space, with regards to your time, with regards to your energy, with regards to your resources, with regards to any and everything that concerns you. There needs to be boundaries. So once again, we need to be able to understand and embrace those dichotomies that have to do with the fact that on one level, we are these divine infinite beings, we are all one, we are all connected. And at the same time, we are still here in a third dimensional reality, and we are experiencing this separation illusion. And because of that separation illusion, we need to be aware of where we begin and where other people end, or where we end and other people begin. So we need to know what it is that works for us and what it is that doesn't work for us. We need to know that what it is that's beneficial for us and what isn't. We need to know the kind of people that are safe for us to be around and those that are not. Of course, we are not just knowing and leaving it at that. We know these things and then we implement those boundaries. Number 5, detach, disengage, remove toxic people and things from your life. We need to remove these things from our lives because all they're going to do is lower our vibrational frequency. As you know, everything that has to do with the narcissistic dark matrix is constantly trying to get at your attention. It's always going to try and be doing something just so that it can lower your vibrational frequency, because your light will always be a problem to a dark demonic entity. You understand? So you want to remove these things. There's no, oh no, let me show them that the light can, change them. Or you cannot change a demon. You cannot change a fallen angel. So if that was not possible for God to do, if that was not possible for the other angels to do, so how much more will it be impossible for you as a human being? So here we are not trying to turn what is dark into light. You understand? The only thing we do with darkness is we dissolve it with the light. And dissolving it means you will have to detach, disconnect. You will stop feeding it with your own divine essence. All right. So number 6, high vibrational activities. All right. So this is something that is unique to every single individual. You know what it is that raise your vibrational frequency. So you engage in those things. We have been conditioned by the narcissists in our lives, as well as the narcissistic dark matrix, to actually fear or to feel shame and guilt over certain things that are actually good for us. Things that help to raise our vibrational frequencies. We have been taught that those things are wrong, those things are perhaps evil or selfish or a whole lot of things like that. We need to come back home to ourselves and to be able to do those things that are really able to bring us to that high vibrational frequencies. And of course, we need to even ask the divine to say, please show me what it is that I need to do to raise my vibrational frequency. Number 7, we need to dream a beautiful dream for ourselves and for humanity. So here, once again, we ask the divine, which is our higher self, which is God, which is source, which is life, which is creator, which is all isness. We need to ask the divine to help us to envision the right kind of vision for ourselves as well as for humanity, to inspire us to plant those ideas and those dreams in our psyche that have to do with the elevation of ourselves and for humanity. Because here's the thing, our intellect is not going to be able to help us to exit the matrix or to help us create any new world for ourselves and for humanity. Only the divine has the right or the divine blueprint for the kind of world that humanity is really meant to be occupying. So let us receive that divine inspiration from the divine with regards to that new world that we are meant to be occupying as the divine beings that we are. And then those ideas will trickle into our mind and into the collective, so that those technologies, those organic high vibrational frequency technologies that are being hidden from humanity can no longer be hidden, can now be disclosed, so that all those demonic agendas that are trying to prevail over humanity right now can be so exposed and so dismantled that they are not able to take hold, not of the divine human spirit. Perhaps they can take hold of the demonic and dark entities that narcissists are, and perhaps they can lead them into their own lower astral plane type of dimension or existence. But let that not be something that takes hold of the divine human spirit that humanity is. All right, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for spending time with me, Soul Tribe, Soul Family, on this transmission. Remember, consciousness, or shall we say, Christ consciousness, is the new frontier. Until next time, namaste.